Will with LV Performance. Today I'm going to show you how to install the rear lower control arms and as well as the toe links and the eccentric lockout kit on a 2013 and up Scion FRS, Subaru BRZ, and the Toyota GT86. So these are the setups I have for the control arms. These ones are fully adjustable as well as their toe links, and we also have a eccentric lockout kit that we will be installing. Eccentric lockout kit basically because the toe links themselves are going to be adjustable, so you won't need to use that anymore. So we'll be replacing these. That's the factory adjustment that we will be eliminating with the lockout kit, and then the new setup will be adjustable right in the center. And then these are the stock rear control arms that we will be eliminating, which are also adjustable. So if you're going super low like this car intends to, then it will be definitely helpful to get the correct camber, or depending on what it is you're trying to do with the car, different stance setups like that. So this makes it able to do that properly. This one will be a little bit different because this does have a kit from Airlift Performance. So we do have to undo these air lines that are routed up here through the control arm, undo the ride height sensor. But other than that, the arms themselves are a pretty direct swap. These ones, since the factory ones are not adjustable, once we get these off, we will actually measure them up against the new ones and make sure they are the same length when we put them in, just to make sure when it goes to the alignment shop, it is fairly close set to factory specs. That way they can align it from there. With the toe links, it's a little bit more difficult because we can't go on the direct length because these are adjusted in here on the factory eccentrics. So if we do them the exact same length when we put them in with the lockouts, the toe would actually be altered. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to measure from the center of this stud on here to the actual center of the hole there for this one. That way, once we put in the new ones with the lockout kit, it should be fairly close to what it's actually set at now, at least close enough to get it to be able to be aligned. Alright, so for the rear control arms, see a good comparison here to the factory ones versus the Voodoo 13. On our factory arm, I'm going to measure basically these most outer holes right here. That way we can set our aftermarket arm as close as possible to that. So I'm just going to do is measure inside to inside on this one. Now this one is ready to install. And then we'll do the same with the other side as well. So we got the lower arms in. You know, pretty straightforward install on that. Like I said, just make sure you get your lengths right on that. While this was all apart, we actually were adjusting our coilover portion of the airbags on this to get it as low as possible. So once we got all that in, you do have to kind of work it a little bit to get the bolts to go into the knuckle. And for the strut, it's not real hard. If you have a pry bar, it helps a whole lot just to be able to push it up and move it over a little bit instead of trying to fight with it. But that really wasn't too bad at all. We did use the new supplied bolts. They give you all the bolts except for the ones where it goes at the body side to the subframe. The factory orientation on these, they're pointed the other way with the nuts going on them. I just put them like this because I feel it looks a little more aesthetically pleasing when you look under the car to see them, or to show off your control arms. It looks a little better just as the bolt heads there, but that's just my preference. The factory bolt sizes on all these is 17 and 14. They're all 17s except for the one that goes to the sway bar link is a 14. With the new hardware they give you, the one for the sway bar link is still a no, it's a 17 actually. But the new ones, the bolt size is a 19 and the nut size is a 18. So not real bad there. And then your little 10 for your ride height sensor there. Don't forget that one. One amendment here. Getting the sway bar links to go back into these arms with everything, especially with how low it is setting, even with that full droop rear sway bar where it goes to the body. I did loosen the top bolt all the way and remove the bottom bolt on each side. That lets you move the sway bar out a little bit to correct the angle for when you try to get it through up here. As you can see, it's kind of leaned over and then after that. So when you're trying to get that up through there, it's a very tight fit. So any type of angle like that, you really can't get it to line up there. It's pretty difficult. So with those ones loosened and these ones totally out, you're able to actually move the sway bar back enough, get that up in there, get the bolts in, and then the sway bar will push back up and bolt in, no problem. It just takes some of the bind off it with trying to get into the tight tolerance on these arms. Let's see, we have the toe link out. We have the eccentric lockout kit mostly in there. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. It's a very nice fitment. I have them sitting up there and they fit in there perfectly. If you look on this side, you can see how it just totally centers it. So essentially getting rid of that elongation right there, and then it is countersunk for the bolts to set into it. So pretty nice setup actually. So now we're going to go ahead and get our toe link adjusted and get it set in there. All right, so we got the new toe link in and adjusted. Like I said, when you do this, when you measure for the adjustment, we measured from the center on this one to the center on the body side. You can't see it right now, but there's a line for dead center where the original eccentric bolt is. Measure from that dead center to the center of the knuckle right there, where you have your main bolt there. That'll give you what it needs to be. You don't measure the factory link because it'll be off because of the original eccentric adjustment. But yeah, just go like that, and that'll get you close enough to be able to get it aligned. The eccentric lockout, like I said, is extremely simple. They're machined perfectly to fit right there, and they just give you just a dead center where there's no adjustment there. The adjustment is all on the link now. And then once that's all in and adjusted, make sure that you do tighten these nuts here to lock it down, otherwise it can damage your link. For the factory ones, on the body side they were 18, and then at the knuckle side it was a 17. With this new setup now, on the knuckle side it is a 18, and then the where the original eccentric was, now the lockout, those are both 22s. If there's anything we didn't cover in this video, or anything that you didn't see, or any questions you might have, go ahead and put that there in the comments, and we'd love to see what you're working on. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.